Some projects are born as technical ideas, others as economic gambles, and then there are those that emerge as silent warnings from the future. In a world dependent on trade routes as fragile as they are essential, a single incident can starkly remind us just how vulnerable the system is that sustains millions. That's precisely what happened when a ship, barely a dot on the global map, became lodged across the Suez Canal and paralyzed entire economies. Ever since, a question has been quietly taking shape in the shadows. Is it possible to create an alternative that would eliminate this risk once and for all? Israel believes it is. And its answer is a $55 billion mega project that could transform not only its own territory, but the very economic architecture of the planet. This mega project is neither a tunnel, nor a bridge, nor a port expansion. It's something far more radical. A nearly 300-kilometer canal cutting straight through the Israeli desert, from the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea. A blue scar running through a land that, until now, seemed untamable. A maritime corridor that would directly rival the Suez and could potentially displace it as the world's commercial lifeline. A single infrastructure project capable of triggering a total reconfiguration of Middle Eastern power dynamics. From its earliest blueprints, its mere existence has sparked debates, suspicions, conspiracy theories, and stark warnings, and rightly so. We're talking about a small country, geographically speaking, surrounded by historic tensions, now proposing an infrastructure project that would rewrite the rules of global trade with a single stroke. Is it audacity, ambition, or a strategy meticulously crafted in silence over decades? The truth is, on paper, the so-called Ben Gurion Canal wouldn't just be wider and deeper than the Suez, it would also be faster, safer, more profitable, and far more technologically advanced. And in a world where every lost hour costs millions, that's nothing short of a revolution disguised as engineering. The canal would slice through rocky mountains, arid valleys, and politically explosive regions. It would entail moving millions of tons of earth, reshaping ecosystems, and redrawing economic boundaries. It's a project so vast it wouldn't just alter maps, it would reshape expectations. What would happen if a single nation, backed by powerful allies, gained total control over one of the world's primary trade arteries? What would that mean for Egypt, for Europe, for Asia, for the United States? Each of these questions reveals another layer of this unfolding story. And it's here that this mega project ceases to be merely engineering and becomes pure geopolitics. To control a maritime route is to control time, money, and decisions. Egypt has known this for over a century. And now Israel knows it too, as it advances an alternative that promises logistical freedom for some, but strategic anxiety for others. If you're enjoying this story, subscribe to the channel right now. With every meter of terrain this canal promises to cut through, memories of epoch-defining projects are reawakened. The Suez Canal reshaped empires, the Panama Canal redrew continents, and now the Ben Gurion Canal, if ever built, could become the third landmark that redefines how the world moves. But there's one detail that makes this case uniquely controversial, a fact that becomes unavoidable once you study the map. The most efficient route for the canal runs directly through Gaza, a territory tiny in size, yet immense in political complexity. Picture the scene. A waterway capable of carrying supertankers slicing through regions where, for decades, even daily stability has proven impossible to guarantee. The contrast couldn't be starker. Yet the economic logic is clear. The straighter the canal, the cheaper it is to build, and the more profitable it becomes to operate. Bypassing Gaza would make the route longer, costlier, and more complicated. Including it shortens the path, streamlines operations, but turns the project into a political detonator. This dilemma isn't really about engineering. It's a reminder of how mega projects inevitably amplify tensions that existed long before the first excavator ever arrived. Israel presents itself as a small nation with an extraordinary capacity for technological marvels. It has made deserts bloom, created irrigation systems that overturned agricultural paradigms, and built cities where only sand once lay. For many, constructing a monumental canal would be the natural culmination of that legacy. For others, it would be a direct provocation against Egypt, whose economy depends heavily on the Suez Canal, which generates billions annually. The unsettling truth is that both perspectives may be simultaneously valid. The vision for the Ben Gurion Canal isn't limited to ships passing through. It envisions entire new cities rising along its banks, industrial zones, tourist hubs, and tech corridors. It imagines a brand new economic spine built from scratch in the heart of the desert, as if the canal itself were not merely a maritime route, but the seedbed of a new era for the region. Ambitious as it sounds, it wouldn't be the first time hydraulic megaprojects have utterly transformed life around them. But none of this erases the most critical element: conflict. Because any territorial advancement, even one framed as purely economic, inevitably stirs suspicion. Is this truly a neutral project? Or is it a piece in a much larger game that blends military strategy, international influence, and economic control? Israel would gain a trade route free from third-party restrictions. The United States would secure a safer alternative for naval operations, and Europe would access a corridor far less vulnerable than the current one. It's hard not to see the incentives, yet every potential benefit carries an equivalent risk. Egypt could lose billions. Tensions in Gaza could intensify. Maritime routes through the Persian Gulf could face new pressures. China might see a critical node in its global trade network threatened, and a new canal wouldn't eliminate risks, it would simply relocate them. Such is the nature of these endeavors, immense opportunities paired with equally immense consequences. At this point, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our upcoming videos. One of the most delicate questions is whether this canal could alter not just economies, but conflicts themselves. After all, if the optimal route cuts through the most sensitive territory in the entire Middle East, it's hardly unreasonable to wonder whether that factor has, directly or indirectly, influenced political decisions for decades. Not necessarily as a sole cause, but certainly as a latent strategic variable. History shows that great infrastructures rarely arise in peaceful places. They almost always emerge where power seeks to expand or secure itself. Some see the canal as a catalyst for regional integration, a vital economic bridge between Asia, Europe, and Africa. Others view it as a spark that could ignite new cycles of tension. And between these two visions lies an uncomfortable truth. Both outcomes could unfold simultaneously. Construction would generate jobs, attract investment, and place Israel in the global spotlight. But it could also provoke regional backlash, diplomatic disputes, and even military threats. Every meter excavated would be scrutinized by nations that rely on the Suez not just to move goods, but to maintain internal stability. The most fascinating and unsettling aspect is this: nothing guarantees the project will ever be built, but nothing guarantees it won't either. Israel possesses the resources, alliances, technological prowess, and a proven track record of turning the improbable into routine. Would this canal be its next giant leap, or remain too politically explosive to ever break ground? Regional negotiations, global interests, and territorial tensions, not engineering, will ultimately decide its fate. Because this canal is not just a canal, it's a declaration, a move on the geopolitical chessboard, a reminder that in the modern world, not all battles are fought with soldiers. Some are waged with infrastructure, routes, ports, and corridors that may appear harmless but carry power in every vessel that sails through them. The Ben Gurion Canal is exactly that, a project that could bring prosperity to some and vulnerability to others. And it is here, at the intersection of economics, politics, engineering, and the future, that it's worth pausing to consider the full picture. If built, this canal could become one of the most influential economic engines of the 21st century. If not, it will remain a looming threat to Egypt and a stark reminder that global trade stability still hinges on a single, fragile choke point. It is precisely this duality that makes the story so powerful and so deeply unsettling. When we look at a world map, it's easy to assume the lines dividing seas, continents, and borders have always been there, immutable. But that's not true. Humanity has repeatedly reshaped the planet to open routes, move goods, and alter destinies. The Panama Canal transformed the Western Hemisphere. The Suez Canal redrew Middle Eastern geopolitics. And now this audacious Israeli proposal could become the next great work capable of shifting entire global equilibria. We don't yet know if it will be built, when, or with what consequences, but we do know one thing for certain. The mere act of considering it has already changed the global conversation.